it is time. It is time to talk about Colossus, our Lord and Savior, the one and only, the Russian Man of Steel. Now, before we get into that, I really want to quickly point out that this heroic difficulty thing here is just not going away. Doesn't want to. I'm in a cosmic difficulty terminal, but for some reason, this wants to be here, so we're just going to leave it alone. So back to Colossus. Now, there's no real wrong way, so to speak, to build Colossus. It's pretty much just the way that you want to play him. He's very, very strong, depending on what you want to do. You can build more or less the summoner build, and you can be just about roughly as strong as you can if you just go full on DPS. You'll also get some kind of, you're not going to do as much damage, but you'll get the benefits of having your friends there to help you out, and they'll give you buffs, and they won't tank anymore, which is kind of good because they really shouldn't be tanking for you. You're the tank, you're the guy that's supposed to be there. If you want to go full defense, you will never die. I assume you will never die. I think you still get hit. You still will die with like a juggernaut, cosmic juggernaut charge or something, but for the most part, you are safe. I've done in a full defensive build. I've done very high level cosmic instances where you pretty much just face tank everything. Not like, people do Black Cat and they just stealth through everything. You can just Colossus, you can just walk through it. But at some point, you don't do enough damage to clear the room, and that kind of leads to other problems. So let's just talk about. I don't really think I need to talk about my gear. I'm going through the relics right now. I'm just trying a different relic, and I don't have enough for 1,000. I don't really feel like pulling it off another character, so I'm just letting it go. I don't care. He does enough damage. It doesn't matter to me. I'm pretty much full DPS. Just wanted some crit rating and some brutal rating instead of using power dupe for this particular hero. You want to go for Mask of the Goat if you want to, and things like Magneto Medallion, if you want to bring your signature down to a very reasonable amount in terms of cooldown. You can bring it down to 16 seconds. The only thing I find is that between the timing of how long it takes to use the skills that you want to use, I find that 18 seconds is slightly better because then your rotation timing works out better that way. Or 17 seconds I think probably would have been better. With 16 seconds you bring it down to 6, and then your Titanic Slam is 6 seconds along with your shout, which I think is slightly inefficient, basically is all I'm saying. Because they come off at the same time, but you can't use them at the same time. So, if one came off a second later than the other, that'd be better. Not very important, just a little note. Okay, we're not going to talk about his skills too much. There's summons here. They're all kind of about, they do area damage. They actually do quite a bit of area damage. For instance, Kurt, 58,000 physical damage. And cooldown is very, very long. But if you look at Titanic Slam, it does considerably less. Now you can buff it obviously, but it does, like Kurt does a lot in a big area. Throwing your fastball special does a lot of damage, and that's just the initial damage, not including the extra layer that you're getting from having your summons out. I've been playing with a lot of different builds and specs and options. For instance, I still have Heroic Challenge here for some reason, even though, oh no, yeah, okay, no, I do have that. Okay. Yeah, I'm using Heroic Challenge. I was using Titanic Slam, but I wanted a little more durability because I'm using the Advanced Circlet of Sidorak. The thing is, okay, you have to understand the mechanics of how his armor works, and I really need to talk about, I think this probably first before I talk about anything else. Nothing really interesting here. Some Brutal Strike chance there, great. Gotta talk about the armor. So 60% of all incoming damage is negated if you have any amount of armor. Any amount of armor. 2, 1, 3 armor, doesn't matter. I mean, you stand the risk if you have only 2 armor that some white's going to come along and ping it off you, but the whole point is that any amount of armor you have will lead to you having armor. So you can put Actually, I've taken it off of here. I used to have, if you can have lizard formula, you can have scroll medallion, things like that, things that will regenerate spirit on hit. I used to have something, I think, here that regenerated spirit on hit. You can have here spirit on hit for on like a basic, and since you're using your basic, Steel Punch is a basic and it does a crap ton of damage. You will always be regenerating armor, and so you'll always be benefiting from this. And what you need is for the Circlet of Sidorak to really be useful, and all other heroes pretty much other than Psylocke, because she has the same mechanic. The Circlet does a lot of mitigation. 15,000 is a lot of damage that you mitigate, but for Colossus specifically, he mitigates the damage 60% first, then an extra 50% for my damage reduction, which I don't stack very high, because after 60% has been mitigated, the difference between mitigating 50% of the remaining 40 or 60% of the remaining 40 isn't really that big of a difference. But the point being that if you don't have any armor, if you have armor, that you're stretching that 15,000 into something more like 35, almost about 36,000, I think, if not more. Mitigation, yeah, a lot. But if you're using the mechanic from Titanic Slam that reduces your armor to 0, you will end up hurting that mechanic. Because when you have no armor, that 15,000 is just going to be 15,000, and when you have armor, that 15,000 turns into like 36,000. So you have to think about that. The other thing is, and I'm using Wolverine as a passive just for the brutal. Okay, not much there. This mechanic only truly works, the cooldown mechanic for the signature only really works if you have 0, right? If you have no armor, this will regenerate. Well, actually, no, sorry. It'll have 100% crit chance, and it will have a 10-second less cooldown. So if I just use Colossal Roar, it's going to have a 16 or 18-second cooldown in this case. But if I use it with 0 armor on me, it will have a 6-second cooldown. And so you need something that's going to blow. You need something that's going to blow your armor. So you use Titanic Slam, then you can use Colossal Roar, then you can use Titanic Slam again, and use this. You can use this talent option to make Titanic Slam use all of your armor and apply that armor to the bonus damage. But right now I'm kind of built towards doing high level cosmic Danger Room solo, so I'm trading off a little bit here and there, from trading off a little bit of damage for a lot more mitigation, and I don't really care about my timing all that much. So you just have to understand what I'm going with right now is very specific to what I'm trying to accomplish, not necessarily for what maybe an optimal build is or what maybe you want to play. So let's talk about the first row, Stronger Than Steel. This is really good if you plan on having no armor. This is really good, and you can always use Titanic Slam when you have no armor. It will still apply the bonus to you, because the bonus comes from the total amount of armor that you have, I believe. So it costs all of your armor, regardless of how much armor you have. And it's not like it takes that, I think it doesn't take that armor and yeah, I think here it just gives you bonus damage based on the total amount of armor that you have, not the amount of armor that it spends. So it's nice if you plan on running around with no armor on. You have a lot of mitigation from damage reduction. You have this big hit over here that heals you for 1,000 damage, and you have other types of things that increase the amount of healing you get, and I believe some cosmic items that increase, some cosmic artifacts that increase the amount of healing that you receive from stuff. So you're looking at potentially, I think rings too. There's some rings that give you more healing. You're looking at potentially getting a lot of healing back from your life on hit and such, so you can make this mechanic work where you're running around without armor. He's pretty good without armor. He's very tough without armor, and because again you will maybe pick up that 1 or 2 extra armor here and there depending on what kind of gear you have from just hitting things, you'll always be getting that extra 60% mitigation, and you'll just be going back and forth all the time. This one's good. Osmium Colossus, you get armor based on the amount of health you have. I'm not actually stacking a lot of health, but you could if you wanted to do that. Again, I'm not stacking a lot of health because the more health you have, the less efficient your life on hit is. At the same time, I have so much mitigation from advanced Circlet of Sidorak and my damage reduction that I don't really care about stacking my health all that high. I think I had more. You do benefit from it, like every 100 health benefit, every 1,000 health benefits your Crushing Smite, every 1,000 health benefits Colossal Punch, but Colossal Punch is such a pathetic skill right now that it doesn't even come close to adding up to what Steel Punch is giving you. And this one's also really good. It gives you, restores your armor based when you use cooldown powers. 10% of your maximum armor whenever you use cooldown power, and restores 5% of your maximum armor every second. And it gives you an extra use of Crushing Smite, which is it's a good trade-off for this one because you get an extra use of Crushing Smite, which does a fair bit of damage, instead of having more total damage and more crit chance. I like the crit chance. Having flat crit chance is very nice. When you're pushing, what am I pushing? 49, yeah, like in the 50s, I guess, in the mid 50s. You know, that starts that up because I have over 3,000 crit strike rating. Getting more than that is starting to become cost prohibitive. Second row of talents, Seismic Stomp. I really like this one because they did a good job. Gazillion did a good job of combining Fissure and Seismic Stomp. Seismic Stomp at this point does 53,000. It's one of the biggest single damage skills that you have, although it's got an 8-second cooldown now, so not that great, but you know, it has the same amount of damage as Call Kurt, and Call Kurt has a 45-second cooldown, and Demolishing Stomp has a 8-second cooldown. I also use Fissure. Fissure is really good for clearing and applying a damage layer, and also both these skills will proc this buff here for 496 brutal strike rating and they're 1400 damage rating, and that's not even I think all that great a roll, honestly, but it's nice. This one doesn't. Demolishing Stomp does damage in an area. Fissure does damage in a long frontal cone, so it's I find Fissure just better for clearing enemies. I tried playing with the Summoner as a Summoner build. This one was nice. It's just that it lasts for 8 seconds, and it reduces the cooldown powers from 45 to 30, but still lasts for 8 seconds, so you may be getting like a third of the efficiency out of it. And all your summon powers share a cooldown, so essentially you can only summon one. So you pick which one you want, and that's the guy you summon. It combines pretty well with this one, which is True Comrade. So you pick one. Let's say you do fastball special. So you get your fastball special out, and also you get 38% extra hit crit chance for 10 seconds. So if you're every 30 seconds you get to use fastball special. And you also get your Wolverine out. Wolverine does a decent chunk of damage, whatever, but you can get increased summon duration, so he'll last longer. Right now he lasts 20 seconds. You can get him to last pretty close to the 30-second mark, so he'll be almost out all the time. It's an interesting option. It's fun to use. He's constant damage layer, but again, because of this very thing, you're limiting yourself, and so I really wouldn't use it. I would still probably look to use Seismic Stomp or Meteoric Slam and just play with your armor. Faster than you look, I don't know. I really don't know. You get an extra charge, but because it's a fixed length dash, I don't really like it because you tend to miss, and then you leave the area damage in the wrong spot. So why? This one's really nice. 10-ton punches gives you 1% extra damage per armor, and it gives you an extra 3% for your Crushing Smite. which is phenomenal. And I'm not even stacking that high. But this does combine actually very well with Osmium Colossus, because you get an extra 5%, 15% damage, depending on which skill. Where you talked about this one, it's a 10 second, I think, with... you can combine True Comrade with Solitary Pillar, because it reduces the cooldown by 20 seconds. But you're no longer... you're not limited. Their cooldowns are not shared, so you can summon a whole bunch of them. You can just summon them in a row, and they all do area damage, and they all do a lot of damage, and they all have really nice. So these 4. So basically, you can replace things like Demolishing Stomp and Fissure with things like Call Kitty and Call Kurt, and replace like Titanic Slam with Fastball Special, or anything, something to that effect. You can replace these skills with these skills and not really suffer at all in terms of your damage. But they don't. They provide the benefit. You get the benefit from it. You can boost your you can buff your damage up. But they don't stick around, so they don't provide you with the damage layers. Whereas if you just left it alone as it is, still have a long cooldown, and you can buff up their summon duration, and they'll stick around. They'll provide damage layer, and you get these effects from them. Figure it out. I don't really think these 3 work together very well. Pretty much, you pick 2 or just one of them, and that'll work for you. This one's not all that really great, especially when you have not this one. No, Osmium. Yeah, I guess Osmium. None of these really are all that fantastic. So yeah, just pretty much pick one. I like Osmium Courage. Gives you a lot of extra health, a lot of defense rating, a lot of base damage, base armor, which again contributes to your damage. You don't get the taunt off all that often, so you can combine this, and you can combine Heroic Challenge and Colossal Roar, which also buffs your health, with Crushing Smite, and get a good chunk of damage out, especially like if you combine it with your ultimate. Thundering Voice gives you more Colossal Roar duration, which I guess is nice. Osmium Will gives your Colossal Roar more damage and regenerates a whole bunch of health. Again, that's nice, but getting that extra 10 seconds off of your cooldown is really, really good. And restoring armor, obviously. Especially if you combine it with, again, with Titanic Slam, you can do Slam, Colossal Roar, Slam, Ilyana, so you get back armor that way, Slam again, and maybe even use this right here, Reactive Armor, so you could just be constantly slamming, using Titanic Slam on stuff and doing a ton of damage with it. Again, it's not my current pick. I'm sure it'll do, I know it does more damage than what I'm currently using, so you can go ahead and use that. I'm not going to complain about it. This is just what I'm going with right now, because I was looking for just slightly a little bit more survivability. Not much to talk about. Just make sure you get calculated efficiency and start stacking Deep Thought, which I can do again. And other than that, put some points in Indomitable, because it just helps you out again with the other stuff, with all the other mitigations. Yeah, your signature power, you want to buff that damage. You want to buff the get some health, whatever. And then at some point start investing in area damage. I think I just went for durability. Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of whatever. I'll probably switch some points into here later. So yeah, because your signatures and area power, your call summons, fissure, demolishing stomp. Yeah, not steel punch, but a lot of your big damage, big stompy damage abilities, things like Titanic Slam, pretty much everything. Not everything. So some of your summons, but a lot of them do. Your big boppers, they do area damage. So you want to buff that if you can. There's not really much to talk about here. I think I took this for the extra cooldown reduction. That's pretty much it. Let's just let's just come in here and see what I can do against Cosmic Dr. Octopus. See, the problem is that he's not going to take away my armor. That's pretty much Dr. Octopus. He's not going to take away my armor because I'm not in a position where he's going to take away a lot of my armor. So for him, I could have switched to Titanic Slam if I really wanted to before the fight. The gear itself doesn't change at all. Nothing really here is going to change just because I picked up Titanic Slam instead. Pretty much all of this stays exactly where it is. I mean, you get a lot of physical damage out of Circlet of Sidorak. You get a lot of brutal strike rating. I think the physical damage on this one's a low roll, but because my brutal strike rating was very high, I just left it where it was. You don't need a high chance roll on the shield because it lasts forever on you if you have armor. That's pretty much it. There's not really much to talk about, honestly. If you want to, the Cosmic Midtown Manhattan doesn't really change anything. You can clear with Fissure, Stomp and Fissure. If they don't die from the initial hit, they will die eventually from the dot. Wow, these guys are tough. And if you let them hit you and you don't have Advanced Circlet of Sidorak, or you're using Titanic Slam to drop all your armor, you'll have your you will have your signature to clear with, and your signature does somewhere in the vicinity of like 1.5 to 2 million damage on a 6-second cooldown. I think that's all right. So we'll just take a look at what happens when we switch to Titanic Slam. Now, I think I wasn't paying attention last time. There we go. Sorry, haven't played with this. Haven't played with this build in a couple of times. So we're in Cosmic Times Square. These guys are annoying me. All this slow, all this area. Don't care. Where did I go over there? Not really much to talk about, just a lot of punching going on. Those relics, they're very useful relics. Just walk through these guys. I don't need them. I'm not really doing this for, I'm not doing this for chests. Yeah. Back to the Titanic Slam. The only difference is I like using Fissure because it applies a dot, and I like using. Dang it! So yeah, I like using Fissure because it applies a dot. That's pretty much it. It's very useful in these situations because you can't. I mean, at least I can't face tank everything. And because a lot of times I'm trying to avoid the damage. There we go. Okay, much better. So yeah, because I'm trying to avoid the damage, I'm not really standing there, and you can still use your health on hit attack to. No, don't need it. Don't need it. Why do I keep going invisible? Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Hit me. Not really scared of him. Probably should be, but I'm not really scared of him. going to face tank him. I could have used my ult to speed that up. There's not really any point in it. This is where Fissure would have been really useful. No. That's it. That's all there is to it. There's not really any sweat going on here. You can face tank. As you can see, I'm not really building full defense. I just have an advanced circlet of Sidorak. I'm just doing a lot of damage. I'm cleaning out, being responsible, cleaning up the garbage. Look at that. I am lucky. Later, guys.